Clozure and Puntland on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Hype Man on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Hype Man.
This is the Pipe Man here on the Adventures Pipe Man W4CY Radio, and I'm here with our next guests who are some killer musicians from the band Clozure. How are you?
What's up, man? Thanks for having us.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. And that, I think I have a little criminal mind here.
Yeah, buddy.
Don't we all?
Tell us about that song. That's a new song. Like, you were on tour with Fozzy, and then you come off, you have some exciting news that I'll let you share, and then boom, a new single.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear it.
Well, really, Zach's going to be due in about 6 months. Not,
yeah, buddy.
but seriously, yeah, it's a great song. It's on the first 4 that we actually recorded going into our last EP. Last one we released, we recorded the video mostly in New York City, which is a blast. Yep. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And you guys are from South Alabama, right?
Yes, we are from South Alabama.
So first of all,
we're from all over. Yeah.
First of all, I want to say my daughter lives in the Panhandle, and I always joke that because I live in South Florida, I always joke like, you don't live in Florida, you live in South Alabama. But
Panama City Beach is like maybe an hour and 40 minutes from us. So
she lives near Navarre Beach in Destin. So like,
and Navarre's close. Yeah.
It's kind of like right over the border there. And, as somebody that's from South Florida, I go there. I do feel more like I'm in Alabama than Florida, especially when it gets 20 degrees. Because I'm down here in South Florida, and people right now, it's in the 50s. They're wearing ski jackets and scarves. I'm like, what?
We wish it was that cold right now.
I'm like, you look ridiculous. Okay. But now I'm born in New York, grew up in Jersey. So coming from Alabama, New York, a little bit of a culture shock. Was it a little bit of a culture shock being in New York?
I'm going to be honest. I don't think any of us expected to like New York City as much as we did.
We really
did.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to go to New York because everybody has this conception, especially if you're from the South and you don't want to go there.
Exactly.
Or even people in Jersey, like that lived up in the mountains a half an hour from the city, and they're like, I will never walk into New York City in my whole life. Like, try it. You may like it.
Oh, I loved it, man.
Right? It's really it's a great city. So, tell us more about the experience of being there and doing all this.
I know we rolled into the Gramercy Theater there. That place is insane.
Right.
So we ended up, that legendary venue. And, of course, I had to go around, try all the tourist stuff in New York and, get some pizza there, all that.
Did you know which famous rays to go to? Because there's like 15 famous rays, and only one of them is the original.
Exactly. So I learned that the pizza wasn't my vibe, is what I'll say. But coffee in New York City ruined coffee for me. It was that good.
Nice. and there's this place, my favorite restaurant in the whole world is in Little Italy. And I don't know if you went there, but it's called Ferrara's. And
I did not.
Oh,
haven't been
it's there. 3 stories with a menu huger than any restaurant that's only dessert.
Dang.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Right? And then there's like this restaurant in the village that you could walk right past it and not even know it's there. You have to know. There's a lot of places like that in New York. Like, you just have to know it's there.
Now, see, that's why you should have been up there with us, and you could have showed us all these places.
Exactly. See?
I mean,
we'll have to do that next time. We'll have to do that next time, and know which subways to go on and which not to go on. That's important info too.
Well, we actually do have a friend up there that actually took us around. That's from Jersey, from the Jersey area. Great guy, Michael Menzo. He's awesome. He ran us around, took some pictures for us while he was there. He's a great photographer too, but he showed us a lot of good places to go to while we were up there. It was a great experience for us, for all of us.
Oh yeah,
very cool. I love it.
The people treated us great up there. I mean, that was a really.
I love hearing that because, you know, so many people like to think that New Yorkers are rude, and maybe
that wasn't my experience at all.
Yeah, maybe it's just a product.
No.
I think it's just a product of their own attitude towards the New Yorkers, and New Yorkers are going to give you back what you give them. If you're nice to them, you are family.
I can see
you
that.
know, if you're not, fuck you. Go take a swim in the Hudson River. You know, we just like, you know where you stand when you're with a New Yorker. Like you're not gonna get the oh bless your heart. You're gonna get the fuck you.
Yeah.
It's
definitely a Southern thing with the "oh bless your heart."
Oh yeah, totally. I had funny story on that. Like I had this really good friend. She was my co-host, and we were out one night, and she was talking about this other friend who was my friend, this chick that hung out with us, and she was talking all this bad shit about her. And she was a Southerner, and the girl walked up, and she jumped up and gave her a big hug and kiss, like it was her long lost best friend. And Mr. New Yorker that I am, as soon as the girl walked away, I'm like, what the fuck was that? And she goes, I was being nice. I'm like, that's not being nice. You were just talking shit about that girl and then acting like it's your best friend. It would be nice and cordial. Just say, hi, how you doing? Not jump up and give a big hug like that's, you know, your favorite person in the universe. Well, that's just how I was brought up. Well, we were brought up to let people, we were brought up that if you can say it behind their back, say it to their face.
Oh, we're firm believers in
that's
that.
my motto, man. Rest
no doubt.
assured, if I'll say it about you, I'll put 10 toes on the ground and say it right to you too.
I'll say it to you first before I'll say it to anybody else.
Yep.
You know? So tell me more about your music, or the listeners. I know about your music. You're badass. But if they haven't heard Clozure before, why should they listen to Clozure, and why should they catch one of your live shows?
If you want to feel emotion with your music and feel like the people that are performing it for you really feel what they're doing, come see us.
Mm-hmm.
Because the best part of the music is connecting with the audience.
That, and it's honestly just a good time, man. I mean, my favorite part of the live show is just partying with the front row. You know what I mean?
See, that's
like
cool.
If you come to me with some wild shit just right there in the pit, like that's what you're going to get back from me. You know what I mean?
I love
it. I'm going to rile you up as much as I can just because I think it's fun.
He's been known to sacrifice himself falling off something. So it's,
All right. So I'm infamous from LA metal scene. I knocked out my teeth. I ended a show I got up on stage. The security was chasing me. So I climbed up. I climbed up on the Marshall stack and dove, and I was full swan midair, and the crowd moved. And like the Red Sea, it parted.
That is the worst.
I was midair. I didn't know what the fuck to do.
Just going down in slow motion at that point.
So to this day, I still go into mosh pits. You'll never catch me stage dive or crowd surf. I don't trust people enough.
I don't blame you.
You know, but
life lessons.
Exactly. But I love what you're saying too, like about the whole thing of connecting. Like, to me, when I look at a band perform live, I can tell if they're just going through the motions or if they're having a good time. And I want a band that's having a good time. Like, you're in the wrong fucking business if you're if you're a musician and you're not having fun, because there's nothing else fun about it besides being the musician.
Exactly. You know? If you don't feel what you're playing and what you're putting out to other people out there in the crowd, then why are you doing it?
Exactly. And it does. It's a transfer of emotion. To me, music's the best therapy there is.
It is.
So
it really is.
If the crowd is feeling you feel it, then to me that means that's great music and a great live show.
Agreed. That's agreed, definitely.
Oh yeah.
And I think I've said this before too. I think that's why people got so angry and attacking after the COVID lockdown because we didn't have any live music to release all those emotions.
Exactly.
I would agree with that.
Because it is emotions, and like, how can you be a musician and not be emotional? That, to me, that does not compute.
Well, there's some out there, but it's
right. And then, okay, so there's somebody, I won't mention who, but there's somebody I knew in my life that she did not like music at all, any music. It didn't, and I don't trust somebody that doesn't like any music. You don't have to like my music, but I think everybody needs music. And she was the perfect example because she was a very, like Mr. Spock type of person.
Yeah.
It sounds like a potential serial killer.
Yeah. And guess what? She was a therapist, so that makes it even more that she was probably a serial killer.
That's concerning.
That is exactly that's
most therapists are crazier than the people they're trying to give
Where
therapy
are the
to.
bodies, ma'am?
Oh, man. I mean, just look at Harley Quinn, who's the love of my life. She's the love of my life because she is batshit crazy. I want her to be my therapist,
Well, I got to say, in their defense, I couldn't listen to a lot of the stories that they're told for my whole life as a job and not be a little off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
of course. Like, listen, I am that person in my personal life. I don't get paid for it, but people always came to me since I'm young. And after a while, hearing all that shit, and you got your own negative shit, but I have coping skills for my negative shit. And then when you feel like these people, you try to get them out of it, they're just, it gets exhausting.
See, that's a big thing on tour because we'll have like, especially because I like to hang out in the crowd after the show. It's just, it's fun to me to go see all the fans and just really get one-on-one time with them. And that's like the most rewarding shit in the world to me is whenever I'll have a fan be like, dude, I'm not going to lie. Like, I got lost in y'all's show.
Nice.
And just let go of all the stress and bullshit, which, like, that's why I'm fucking doing this, man. Like,
no doubt.
If what I'm doing up there and me just looking like a fucking goober and playing my songs and having a good time makes your life a fucking brighter place for even just during that song, like, I won at that point. You know what I mean?
That should be the goal. That should be the goal right there. And, I love that you go out in the crowd because, like, okay, so I do media at all these festivals. And after I'm done being backstage all day during interviews, I want to go out in the crowd. Like, listen, I did backstage in the 80s at Sunset Strip Days, and I've done backstage today. People ask me about going backstage. I'm like, you don't want to go backstage. There's nothing going on.
No, it's not an exciting place.
No, it was back in the day, but not anymore. And like,
no,
and people want you to bring them up side stage. I'm like, dude, there's a reason I and artists go out to front of house because side stage does not sound good,
No.
And it is cool. Like some of the artists I'm friends with, I'll be out with them watching. And what I really love is when people don't even notice.
Yeah.
And they could just sit and chill and they're watching. And like I've been out with Chris Motionless and like without his makeup on, so nobody noticed. I've been even hung out like at when they used to do the Dimebag Bash. Mm-hmm. I hung out with Guar at the bar and nobody knew it was them.
I wonder why.
I know. And I joke with them and I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea. You wear the costumes. You look much better in the costumes. It was even funny at one festival. Okay, so obviously when it's out in the media area, they're wearing their costumes. The only time it's not costumes is if it's back in their dressing room. But one time they were coming out and they were bringing Blothar out, and the planes, as you well know, like didn't bring their costumes. So the tour manager says, hey, do you still want? Yeah, of course I still want to do it. Okay, I'll send them out, and like just, and I'm like, you don't have to tell me. I know how to play the game. I'm a pro. But it was so funny. The photographer that was sitting right across from me, he had like some gummy bears on the table. So I'm interviewing, and he totally, if you were paying attention, you would totally know it's Blothar, because during the interview, he's talking like Blothar, not like himself, and so he goes, he's having fun with it. To the photographer, he's like, hey, and he starts pointing at the gummy bear. Give me those gummy bears. Just like, and no clue. Gave him the guy, had no clue it was Blothar. To that point, I had another experience at the same festival where I was interviewing Gorilla, and they also are costumed, but I never saw them without. So the female, I'm just sitting there bullshitting with her. Like, it's before the interview, and she's standing over there bullshitting with her. We're just having this whole conversation. And then she goes, hey, do you know where Pipe Man is? And I'm his next interview. And I was like, oh, that's me.
Oh, yeah. The interview started 15 minutes ago. We were recording.
I know, right? But yeah, I mean, so I love shit like that, though. And people don't realize the feeling. Like, I'm sure you get it a lot. I get it a lot. Like, people like, how can you live like that? You're never home. Like, because all my friends are out there. Home actually sucks. I come home and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and I'm depressed, and I seclude in my place for at least a week after being out.
Exactly.
On the road.
Well, it goes back to, you enjoy doing what you do, so why not do what you do more often? Because you enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're around your people, because when you do things that you enjoy, you're around other people that also enjoy them. So and it's funny too, because it's like, I'll bring some of my kids to festivals. My youngest daughter, I'll bring her to festivals, and it'll be a 4-day festival, and halfway through the first day, she's like, Dad, I don't know how you do this every weekend. I'm already done. And I'm like, I don't even know how I don't, because it's just, you have to have a passion for it. It's
this shit ain't for the faint of heart, but if you love it, there is nothing else you'd rather do.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And then, like, even with press people, like, especially if you're dealing with rock or metal bands, like, you better be into that shit. Like, I watch other press people that shouldn't be there, and I'm like, if I were the band, I'd be slitting my throat right now. They're reading some script, and like, so it says here, blah blah blah. Dude, these people aren't about that. That's the most boring fucking part of their job. They're musicians. Make it fun for them, because this is fucking treachery. Don't make it like the business part of it. Just have a good time and have a conversation, and and find out what they're passionate about, and then they'll talk.
Well, that's the thing for you as an interviewer. You're going to pull more out of us doing it that way than you are just with the simple scripted. So, like,
the questions that are already out there that nobody gives a shit about, that you've had to answer a million times, like, yeah, right. Dan Spitz of Anthrax, who's like one of my best friends, he says, I wish they would have asked me what skin conditioner I used on tour. and he was making a point of how ridiculous all these questions were. Like, how many times can you answer, how'd you get your band name, and who fucking cares anyway? Okay. Like, sometimes there's a good story about it that maybe you want to talk about because it's cool, but most of the time it's just a stupid question that means nothing. So, great story on that one. August Burns Red. I said that before the interview. I say that all the time before the interview. I don't ask stupid questions like that. If it's in Wikipedia, I don't ask. If it's already out there. And they go, well, you're
find
lucky.
out, do we even have a Wikipedia yet?
I think we do, actually.
It's probably all wrong.
Yeah, probably all wrong.
I'm going to edit it, so it's definitely wrong.
I know, right? That's what I would do. If I was an artist, I would just make up a bunch of shit to fuck with people. And that's what August Burns Red does. Because they said, lucky for you, because we fuck with everybody that asks us that question. We come up with a new story every time, one worse than the next, and we keep a total straight face. You see that girl next to you? I think we made her cry. because she asked us how we got our band name. So we were like, well, we got this. My sister got this dog when we were teenagers, and she named it August. And one day,
I see where this is going.
yep. One day we're out front playing in the street, hanging out, and we decided it would be funny to light August on fire and watch him run down the street. Ergo, August burns red.
That is horrible. I'm a big dog person. That's horrible to me.
Right? And they're like, and you said it with a total straight face, and you had to see the look of horror on her face.
Oh, I
and
can imagine.
I'm like, you know what? I would do the same shit. Like, I'm from the Northeast. Sarcasm and that shit and fucking with people's my second language. So, you know, I mean, like, if you're gonna keep doing that stupid shit and not learn your job, I'm gonna fuck with you. You know. So, yeah. Now, let's ask you then. What is the absolute worst interview question you guys ever got that you're like fucking wanted to slit your throat?
I think there was somebody that asked us what we thought we should do about all of the political situation.
Oh.
And I've never seen this guy pivot so, because we do not, religion or politics, we just don't do it. And
somebody's going to get frustrated either way.
Yeah, you're going to piss somebody off.
It doesn't matter if you say, yeah, I don't really have an opinion. Somebody's going to get mad about it.
Yeah, so we stray away. But anyway, as soon as the question gets asked, I see Cordell just go, I think Clozure has some really good music we're about to record. And I'm just like,
nice.
That's the hardest turn I've ever seen.
I love it, though, because, like, it's so stupid. We're falling for the oldest trick in the book. Like, when I was a kid, you were taught, don't talk politics, don't talk religion. Nothing good comes out of it. And you don't tell people who you vote for. It's your own personal choice.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Now people act like you're, like, in prison and got to show your packet. And like, you know, tell me who you voted for, and they don't let you off the hook.
Has nothing to do with what we're doing.
And I'm like, fuck you. It's not your business. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, we're picking these people like they're rock stars. Like, they don't give two shits about us. As far as I'm concerned, they're all on the same team. It ain't mine. Okay.
Well, here's the thing: is you can ask me till you're blue in the face what I think about anything I have no ground to stand. If you want to ask me about like bass tones and like writing bass lines to float between the drums and rhythm guitar, I'm qualified to speak on that. I can tell you all I can tell you about it.
Yeah.
But I don't have a damn political science degree. Why does it matter what I think?
Yeah, most of these people that are talking the most about it don't know shit. So I agree with you. I love it. Yeah, and I'd much rather talk about music. Music's a much more positive subject, and music makes you feel good. And so is your music. So now, what's the best interview question you ever got?
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah, see, there's a tough one.
Ooh, that's good.
It's always easy to find the negative. It's not always easy to find the positive. That's why the positive is so much better.
I'm trying to think here. Maybe how do we make everything work on a bus with 5 different people and 2
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting one.
Yeah, that is a good one, especially with chicks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just the whole band. We're really tight knit. We're really good friends.
That's so
we'll
important.
Go to these venues, and you can put us on a timer where about every 20 minutes, no matter where in the venue we go, we'll all find a table to circle back to and start gravitating towards where everybody in Clozure is going to be hanging out with each other.
Nice.
Yeah.
And see, like being on tour it's a road trip with my best friends, man. Like that's
the only way it should be. Like, how could you ever survive being in a band with people you don't like? I don't get that. Like, because this is like your family that you got to be with all the time. Yeah.
That takes all the fun of it. And at that point, like I said, you're just going through the motions, and people can see that when you're on stage when you're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And you saw it a million times with a bunch of bands. Yeah. But you see it when they're really enjoying themselves too. And that's what we always try to bring to the table.
And you know how many times I see bands that once they get off stage, like they totally separate for the rest of the time and they're never together. I'm thinking that's not a good recipe for longevity for sure.
No, it's not.
You know,
I mean, we'll get cleaned up quick, come back out to the merch table or go hang out in the crowd because we've toured with some great bands and it's awesome to go back out and watch them when they come on if we're opening up for them. And it's cool going out there too. And like you talked about it, you'll go out there before a show and you'll hang out and you'll see people because we're always out in the crowd and all before the show. We'll have a drink with somebody or whatever else, just talking crap about different stuff and all. Then we'll go out, we'll go perform, then we'll come back out. And it's cool because they see you like standing beside them, jamming to the next band up, drinking a beer or whatever else. And they're like, oh, hey. And we're like, yeah, it's a good band. A
lot of times you get the double take where they'll go,
right?
What's up, man?
So that happened to me. Okay, that happened to me. All right, ready? I'm at this festival, Okeechobee Fest, okay? And there, I don't know, there's over 100,000 people there. And I am like dead center in the crowd. Like my interviews are done and all, so I'm just enjoying it. And I'm like dead center in the crowd, like in a sardine can. And I look next to me. I'm like, no, can't be. No. It was Carl from The Walking Dead.
Hell yeah.
Carl from The Walking Dead was standing next to me at this show. And it was like it was that double take because it was like, it just didn't see. We were like deep in it. We were like in the deep woods of the crowd, And like, so that's the cool shit about that.
Yeah.
That's what I love about festival life, the community. It's fun. Like, it's not work. Like, okay, I have many parts of my job, doing what I do. Festival is like the fun part. That's like the reward,
Yeah.
And it's, I don't get how people cannot get that energy, like is the ultimate uniter. It's the ultimate place that you can just get away from everything. We don't have to worry about politics. We don't have to worry about the bullshit in the world.
Yeah.
You just go and have a good time. Which, speaking of good time, how was it touring with Fozzy? Because he's a cool cat, man.
Oh, that was awesome.
It was fun. We really had a good time. I mean, I've been watching the Duke, Rich, play guitar forever and a day.
Yeah,
PJ
that's
on
me
bass.
with PJ, so
I saw PJ since years ago
since he had hair.
Yeah, since he had long hair. Back in the day when they were touring with Warrant, I saw them one time.
Yep. Nice.
It's really great. It's like getting a chance to meet up with your heroes from whenever you're younger with the cool posters on the wall and all. And
it's cool when they're cool and you can hang really out with them. And like, I think that's important too. When you're on tour with bands, the bands have to get along. Like, it's not even just within your own band. You gotta have fun and stuff like that,
Well, this whole industry is about the hang, dude. Like, if I'm gonna work with you and tour with you for a month, like, please, dude, be cool.
Yeah,
no doubt.
We've been super fortunate, man. We have not, since I've been in Clozure for a year now, there hasn't been that band where like they're coming into the load in and you're just like, oh God, these fucking guys are here all like that hasn't happened.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
love hearing that because there are those bands.
Rock star is over.
Yeah,
you can't survive in this industry.
And there are those bands, so I love that because there's some festivals, even the press people are like, oh fuck, they're here.
Yeah,
type of thing. And so that's really cool to hear. And what you were saying too, okay, as a press person, I have this rating system of artists. There's 3 levels. There's the bands down here that need all the press because they're just the up and comers, so they're cool as shit. And they don't have any ego yet whatsoever.
Yeah.
Then there's the bands way up here, the icons, that they're cool as shit because they have no clue they're icons. That's why they're icons. They don't give a shit about that rock star thing. And then there's the middle ones. They're the ones that think they're the rock stars and maybe at a little bit for a brief moment, and they think they're God's gift to everybody for the rest of eternity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's that bell curve to it to where every time you move up a notch in your career, you realize exactly how much you really don't know.
Yes.
Right.
And how much farther you have to go.
Yeah.
That is so true. And to my point, what I was saying, it's funny they're playing a festival this year, but it's weird to me because to me they really don't exist now. But I interviewed Skinner a few times, and they were the most fun interview. Like, they're just good old boys. laughing.
Yeah.
Like they were laughing the whole interview. And then like I have this question I ask that a lot of times on the in-person interviews, and it's like one story, good or bad, that for most bands I say when you're 80. For Skinner, I think I had to say like 90 because Rosington was already there. I'm like, what story is it you're going to tell? And like without even thinking, Rosington goes, oh, that time that we had sex with the Spice Girls backstage. And then he goes, oh, wait. Can you edit that out? Like, and so here's a band that should have ego, should have that pretentious shit and isn't. And then you take somebody else that hardly anybody ever knows, and they're the ones that have the pretentious, I'm all that.
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I could see you guys touring with Skinner, actually. That would probably be a good time.
Well, their keyboard player actually mastered our last 4 songs that we did. Peter Keys.
Yeah, Peter Keys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. See? So that might happen, So there you go. Because
we'll see. They're kind of big for us.
Yeah, but
it would be fun, though.
It would be fun. So what else you got going on in 2025 you want the listeners to know about?
Well, some tour announcements coming here pretty soon. Not just yet, but here pretty soon.
We're
how
currently
can
in
they
the studio
find out
here.
about that? Say that again?
Oh, it'll be all over every social, everything, man.
Yep.
When we book tours, we're damn proud of them.
So how do they connect to you guys on socials, on the web, go to your merch store, all that good stuff?
We're official Clozure on everything. So that's Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Facebook. Our website is officialclozure.com.
Yeah.
.com. And I mean, if you go to OnlyFans, it's official Clozure. Unfortunately, it's me, not the singer.
Yep.
So
yep. We haven't made anything. We had some people actually ask for their money back already. So
we have
what's funny
about a calendar.
You know what is funny? There is a Pipe Man OnlyFans. I just took all my 2024 content down, and I'm gonna. So what I did originally is I had these hot co-hosts that were posting stuff on it, but then what I really wanted to do, because I do this thing, I call it the Pipe Man Radio Tour, because every year I go on tour from like April till November, with
awesome
little spots afterwards, but basically it's the off season, and so my thing is to document the whole festival tour on OnlyFans, like all the outtake shit and stuff like that. Because who else is doing that in podcasting?
All right, now this is our question for you right now.
Sure.
Are you ready for a question here?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I love that.
How did you get the name The Pipeman?
That is the number one asked question of me. It's like asking me my band name. No,
I want to be a basic bitch today. We're asking you that question, okay?
Okay, so
he's gonna fuck with us though.
My last name. No, I'll tell you the truth. It's a story actually. My last name is Piper, and so it was a nickname way back. When I was younger, people just said it and it kind of stuck, and then it went away for a long time. And I'm a motivational speaker too. So originally my radio show was just that kind of stuff, like it wasn't anything that was shock jockish, which is now. And it wasn't even much music. Like music was my passion outside of work type of thing. And so then I did this relationship show, and I created it by collecting co-hosts to fit every type of person. So I had these 2 women. One of them was this conservative married woman that, was like the total like goody 2-shoes. And then the other woman she was also married, but she was a Latina who was super hot and was the epitome of the woman that's a player. Then me, I just played myself, who was, the nice guy, the guy that always, gets friend zoned. And then, and Pipe Man don't get friend zoned, by the way. So Dean did. So the other
this is sounding like a really bad written 90s porn so far. But we're
I
gonna go
know,
with this, okay?
totally. Well, wait till you hear more. Okay, so yeah, and because Pipe Man has a group on too, and so
okay.
and so basically, the other dude was the epitome of the player. 40 years old, never had a relationship longer than a year, doesn't go on a second date unless he gets sex on the first date. And so we had all four of those perspectives on this relationship show. But at one point, he left the show because he was going to Peru and he was going to go hike Machu Picchu and stuff. So I decided instead of replacing him, I would just assume both roles because, listen, being on the radio is playing a role just like you're on a TV show or whatever else. Part of it's you, but it's a character that you play. So Pipe Man's my radio moniker, and that's where Pipe Man came to life when that happened because I decided the alter ego was going to be Pipe Man. And it became it became a social experiment, actually. Okay. And because so all your life when you're the nice guy, you always scratch your head why these women always pick the jerk offs, and you just never really understand it. Well, I got real life experiences now that I was like, I get it now. And so Pipe Man is the total opposite. Pipe Man's the total like shock jock, makes Howard Stern look nice. Okay. And so basically it's so funny. It works so well that I have divorced twice. On my show, my ex-wives are referred to as Thing One and Thing Two. And
outstanding.
Right? Thing One, if you ever met her, she would introduce herself and say, you probably know me as Thing One. And so when we got divorced, Thing One, she says to me after we're getting divorced, she's like, I really hope you find what you're looking for. You're like the most romantic person I ever met. I'm just not into that. And I was like, what the fuck did you just say? And because you think that this is what women want and stuff like that. And so I was flabbergasted.
If you can ever crack that code, you write a book and you're going to make $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
I do have a book. I have one book that has words in it, but I also wrote a book, Everything I Know About Women. It's 200 blank pages. And so,
fair enough.
So now fast forward 10 years. My daughter's working for me at the radio station, and she calls my daughter and she goes, I was just listening to your dad's radio show. What happened to him? He was never that obnoxious in 12 years I was married to him, and he's such a player now. A month later, she tried to reconcile with me because she thought I was now a player. It's a pretty fucked up scenario. Like Pipe Man, it's so funny because I'm not even like crazy. Like I have my co-host, she's Rebel Medler. If we go to festivals or stuff and they ask her for her ID to get her badge, they ask her name and she says Rebel Medler. I look at her, I'm like, no. They're not going to give you your press pass, giving your radio moniker. It has to be the name on your. That is my name. It has to be the name on your driver's license. Why? Why? Because they're not just going to give a press pass out to anybody. And this is real life. You're not on the radio right now. Whereas I'm not like that. If I meet you in real life, like I'm Dean, But it's fucked up too because I'll meet people in real life. Women, not people, women. And I'll meet them as Pipe Man. And then when I do become Dean, they just want Pipe Man. I just had somebody, you're going to love this one. You ready? Okay, a Tinder date. We get on the phone first, didn't even make it to a date. And she goes, oh, I was expecting more of a radio voice. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, you're on the radio. Can you do your radio voice for me? I'm like, this is my voice. I don't use a different voice for the radio. This is my voice. Oh, come on. Do your radio voice for me. I'm like, I'm not. There is no radio voice, and like what? And I ended the conversation because she just wanted to be with the radio personality. You know,
Yeah.
like it cracks me up sometimes. It's funny, but
Fair enough.
what else do we want to tell the listeners that we haven't covered already to get them?
We have some great music that's coming out very
yeah.
soon. We're in the studio
Oh,
right
yeah.
now working on some singles to get them out.
We got Mr. Malcolm.
New
Springer
videos are
we're
ready to be
working with.
yep, new videos we're going to be coming out with in the near future.
Ooh.
As Zach said, we have Mr. Malcolm Springer working with us here. Somebody just snuck up here that you're going to get a surprise.
Hello.
Hello.
Here.
What's
You want to
up?
trade out?
Oh my God,
So
no, I
she should have been there
Oh.
for that whole part of that, right?
She was busy at the time.
Sorry,
She
we were picking up.
She could have
I was
put her perspective on the whole thing.
My perspective on what thing? I
Oh,
was picking up guitars for Matt.
You'll have to listen to the interview and you'll find.
Okay.
It's just basically about. Okay, so they were asking me about how I got Pipe Man as my radio moniker. And Pipe Man is really kind of like an alter ego. And I just gave them the whole story of how it developed, which was basically, Pipe Man is the person I'm not. He's the player, like real shock jockish, and has so
Pipe Man
many.
lays pipe.
Yeah, and it's funny. Every artist says that. They also artists in interviews in person. They write songs. They write songs in the interview, and it usually has to do with laying pipe. It's pretty funny, but yeah. So
we got a slogan here in Clozure, man. It's laying pipe and pissing off Mike.
Well, see, I'm the perfect person. Like I'm your spokesperson for that. Because I'm the pipe man. See?
Through that.
So anyway, yeah, we find that women like the pipe man much better than Dean.
The confidence, bro.
It's definitely a confidence thing, and it
Yeah.
definitely would be like a conversational piece.
Somebody walks up and says, "Hey, I'm the pipe man. You gotta."
Yeah,
Pay
like
attention at
I'm
least.
intrigued. I'd be like, and why do we have that name?
See,
Do tell.
see, it totally is. It's funny too. Like I was talking about one of my co-hosts. She runs my Louisiana studio, and she came down to Florida. We were covering a Puddle and Mud show, and it was me, my daughter who worked at the station, her, and we could walk out of the show, and all these women are like surrounding me, and Rebel, who's my co-host, she goes to my daughter. She goes, "What's going on here?" And my daughter rolled her eyes and like, yeah, all the women love my dad.
That's funny.
But the story that you missed, I got to repeat it for you. It's my ex-wife, her mother. When we got divorced, she was like, I really hope that you find what you're looking for because you're like the most romantic person I ever met in my life. I'm just not into that. And then Pipe Man is not like that at all. So 10 years later, she calls my daughter and she goes, I was just listening to your dad on his radio show. And what happened to him? He was never that obnoxious. In 12 years we were married. He's such a player now. And then she tried to reconcile with me a month later. Because she thought,
Really?
Yeah, because she really believed that character I was playing on the radio is who I became and thought I was a player. So now
So
she
it's like
wanted
an
me.
alter ego almost.
Yeah, totally. Now, I didn't say this to them. I have on my radio show, I play this commercial for the Pipe Man Groupon. And it's this new bed and breakfast that I'll give a discount if you call in during the show. You come to the Pipe Cave, which is where I live, and you, like after Batman. And you service the Pipe Man all night long. You serve me breakfast, and then you leave. And
That's a
women
good deal, bro.
call into my radio show to buy this fake Groupon. That makes me laugh so hard because it's like, oh my God. Because I was saying it became a social experiment because, it really gave me the insight of why women love players. And because it's like, oh my God, I can't believe. And you wonder why you get these douchebags treating you like shit. You're calling in for this fake Groupon to basically come do whatever I say and then leave. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like a phenomenon. I feel like players. I mean, you're talking to me, so like I feel like Nikollaj, which is like my alter ego, is the exact opposite too. Where instead of me going for players, I think it's me normally like intimidating men. I have a very like dominatrix kind of like head bitch in charge personality, but I have noticed that like
I
even
would
in the
be fucked
latex
up
sip,
over that. I'd be fucked up over that.
yeah, so it's kind of like
I'm
me and
just
you are doing
saying.
the same thing, just roles reversed. Like, you know,
It,
and I've noticed that, like, if I do Criminal Minor, whenever we do the song called Bourbon Street Angels, people kind of really get excited about the idea of the line, got horns for a halo, I'll be your Bourbon Street Angel. Because
yeah.
then guys are like, whoa, wait a minute, what does that mean?
I know, right? People are
You
so
know?
stupid. That's what I always like to think with this stuff. Because, hey, listen, I'm the same way. Okay, I pick batshit crazy women. I don't deny it. Okay, and I can tell you, I'm not making it up because I have a sign that is on my wall in my bedroom that my two younger daughters bought for me, and it says,
Mhm.
"My next wife won't be crazy." And
We'll see about that.
and my answer was, yeah, I wouldn't count on that. And the
Yeah.
love of my life is Harley Quinn. So what does that tell you? Not
Oh.
Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn. You know, so we're all kind of a little fucked up, I think.
To a
in the
degree, you
world.
just got to figure out what jagged piece fits what jagged piece.
No doubt. That's what it's really all about. It's like I also get a lot, you know, because we were just talking. I go on tour, and I like you guys go on tour, and I go and do music festivals all over the U.S., UK, Europe, and people say to me all the time, "Oh, you know, you're never going to meet somebody." I'm like, "No, I'm going to meet somebody," and I travel a lot. I'm going to meet somebody that enjoys the same things I do, like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we were talking about it, like when you go out on tour, that's where all your friends are. They're not at home. I come home and like I don't even leave my house for a week. You know,
Yeah.
because like I'm in that you know the off tour depression thing. You know, and
It's real.
it's totally real, and people don't get it unless they live it. You know,
Yeah.
but it is true. I come home and it's like. These aren't my friends. These people aren't my friends. Those people are my friends, you know? And if I'm going to meet somebody that I'm going to be with, wouldn't it be cooler to meet somebody that I'm doing it with, opposed to somebody that you meet and they want you to stop doing it? Or why would I want to, like my second wife, she wouldn't go to shows with me. And it's like, and she goes, you'll have more fun going by yourself. Like, I do have fun going by myself, but if you're with somebody, wouldn't you want to be with somebody that you could have fun going with them instead of leaving them home? You know, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, hopefully third time is a charm for you.
I always say that. I always say, but I'm a lot smarter this time. Okay. You know, after 2 times, you get a little smarter. Some people like to say it's picky. I just say it's smarter. It's like, I already know what's not going to work within like 30 seconds. Like, you know, I had somebody, perfect example, Tinder date, didn't even get to a date. We're on the phone talking about music. She was like this spiritual Zen person. So I'm figuring, oh, okay, she's cool. And, you know, then we start talking about music and I'm talking about metal. And she's like, oh yeah, I can't listen to metal because anytime metal's on, it makes me want to destroy things and get all pissed off. I'm like, like, that is ridiculous. You're saying namaste after that. Like, you're supposed to know how to control your emotions. And no, metal doesn't make me feel that way. Makes me feel positive and pumped up and adrenaline pumping. And like I said to her, I'm like, if you get like that, that's a you problem, not the music problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go. So let's rock out at one of your shows.
Hell yeah,
Looking
man.
forward to it. Yeah.
So yeah, let me know when you're in South Florida, and I'll cover a
man.
show here.
What part of South Florida are you in? Because I live in Orlando.
I'm near West Palm, and I would come
okay.
I would come up to Orlando for a show. I do it a lot. I would even
Okay.
come up to Tampa because I love the venues up in Tampa.
Tampa has a lot of good venues, and we noticed with the last 2 tours that we were on, because like I'm an Orlando girl, and I remember Orlando really being like a central area and a hub spot for rock and roll because of Rockville, being in Daytona, and Earth Day Birthday, and then we used to have places like what's it called, Back Booth, and what used to be the Haven. So Orlando was a really good stomping ground. I just feel like post COVID, I don't know what happened exactly, but well, I guess COVID happened. Now Tampa's like the new hotspot for up and coming artists, and
I've
Florida
seen that a lot. But I think it's the venues because, like, first of all, I hate the venues in South Florida for the most part for doing
there isn't much in West Palm, I feel like.
Well, it's the doing press. Like, there's Respectable Street I love, and I love the people that run that, but that's a little club. But the Misfits will play there. Agent Orange plays there. DRI plays there.
Okay.
But, like, you go down to Florida and Fort Lauderdale to some of the places, which I won't name, that the people at the door, like, they think they're God. And it's like, so one time as an example, I just finished the interview on the tour bus. I was going into the venue, and the guy was giving me a hard time. And I had a press pass, photo pass, everything. Just giving me a hard time. That I had to literally call the band to come out and tell him to let me in.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, it was ridiculous. And I don't experience that anywhere else. Like, I go all over the US, UK, and Europe, I love. Because they still treat artists and press the way you're supposed to treat artists and press. Like, and if you talk to every artist that does those festivals, they talk about the way they're treated. And Danny Wimmer, you get that too with the artists. Okay. So there's not one artist that ever has anything bad to say about doing a Danny Wimmer festival, because he kind of follows that European guideline of, making sure the artist has it easy and they're happy.
I've heard that before from a lot of the artists that went through Danny Wimmer festivals.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to possibly do that.
Danny Wimmer does do a good job. He always gives like tickets to the artists to go for the whole week.
Yep.
And the way, I mean, I'm sure, because I'm sure you've done like Rockville and then possibly like Louder Than Life.
I do all the Danny Wimmer festivals for like the past 10, 12 years.
Yeah. And the cool thing about them is each artist will have like a press day. So it's not just artists going in and out. You can actually schedule with a lot of the interviewers the day of. And I never really experienced that with like any other festivals that like I performed versus them. They're very organized, down from like press to the food and the artist lounge and like the drinks in the artist lounge to
well-oiled machine, and like even the stuff they do, like Louder Than Life last year, Slayer got rained out. And they kept trying to get
weird if you think about it.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Rain blood.
Yes.
I know, exactly.
Skies, baby.
And so like they kept trying to open but couldn't, but now they got Slayer to play Louder Than Life this year, so they're playing this year. Slayer wasn't planning on doing any more gigs, and they didn't have to. They got paid. They didn't have to do another show. So kudos to Slayer coming out and doing it, and I think that's totally cool because like that might have been somebody's only chance to see Slayer.
Yeah. If you want to know a fun one about Louder Than Life, though, was a few years back. I went there just watching some bands, and this is long before Clozure was even on my radar, and I ended up watching Nikollaj sing with one of her previous bands, and I just remember like walking up there and thinking like, that chick can fucking sing. And then I just went off somewhere and got drunk. And,
right.
And then when I found Clozure, I was playing this country band, and I ended up opening up for him on tour. And the rest, but yeah, it's a small world how all that works out, because I started doing the interviews, and I thought she looked really familiar. And she started talking about playing Louder Than Life. I said, "Hold the fuck up! You're that chick."
Yeah.
Wow, that's funny.
How the festivals can bring people together like that, though.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I might have done an interview with you in like 2022 with Louder Than Life.
That makes sense too. That's so.
Yeah,
funny.
I think I might have. That's why I was like, why do I feel like I know this name and everything? That I could have.
Do you want to mention the band? If you don't. If you do.
I don't mind. I think the only reason I don't mind now is because they made a public post saying that they completely quit after having 2 singers after me. that couldn't
Wow.
last for more than 6 months at a time. So now
Wow.
I don't mind because, you know, they're not out there anymore. But I was in the band called The Dev, like 2 years ago or so. And we just basically had an animosity where after my dad died, things weren't the same. And they kicked me out. And then I ended up being able to create The Devil Effect, Nevermore, Criminal Mind. You know what I mean? I did an amazing collaboration with Josh. And so the year after, it was like I actually legitimately got the band Clozure and then got some closure because we were releasing multiple singles a year. And I don't even think we knew each other for like just a few months. We were in different states recording. And next thing you know, we were doing tours across the U.S.
Nice.
It's like all the pieces fit all at once. Everything came together and was
everything
really
happens for a reason.
It
you
does.
know,
It
like,
definitely does. Everyone got some closure.
And we were talking about before, like all of that, how you could be in a band that nobody likes each other. Like you gotta be best friends because, listen, it's even more than a marriage, you know. Like, and so you gotta be with these people 24/7 for most of the year. You better like them.
I would like to ride on that concept and say it's probably a little bit more than just friends.
Yeah,
because friends break
family.
up, but family is like stuck together.
Oh, it's totally family.
And
I
so,
think I mentioned earlier. It's I think I said to you guys, it was like you're like siblings.
Yeah, no, we really are. And I mean, there's so many things that like me and Mike have thought about, Zach have thought about, because that's what you do. Like when you're in close counters for a month at a time in a moving freaking tube going 80 miles on the highway and you're tired or you know, you have a bunch of people in your face because they love the music and it's constant highs and lows. It really does test everybody. And you know, friendships will break up through pressure, relationships break up through pressure, but a family that like genuinely loves each other, and we may not have blood that runs through our veins, but we have like the same love and the need for music that does.
I think it's more so. I'm a total blood has zero to do with family type of person.
Yeah. So
that's
I
cool
do
to
feel
hear.
like we almost found family in the sense of like finding each other.
I mean, there's nothing like
so cool to hear.
coming through there and you know, I'll leave something in the aisleway and somebody trips over it, or I get out and I trip on a boot and fall on my face.
I love it.
But it's okay.
I definitely am the little. I'm like the youngest sibling, little sister, spoiled
I've never
one.
had a little sister,
she's
but
the
I
little
swear
sister.
I'm totally that.
Nice.
The producer's nice to me, mean to them. The fans are nice to me. They're cool with them, actually. I'm not gonna like that shit. Until they're like, "Hey, could you take a picture of me?" Ooh. And so they're like, "Hey, could you take a picture of me and Nikollaj and Zack's?" Like, God damn it, you know.
Listen, I want you to remember though, there was that
one
dude.
time.
She's never gonna hear the end of it either. I had one guy ask her to hold the camera so he could take a picture with me.
It was
After
a great
he
day.
took a
We all
photo
heard
with
about
me.
it. We all heard
After
about it.
he
It was
took
a
a
great
photo
day.
with me first, so it's okay. I'll let that one slide.
Nice. And you know, you're the second interview today that's dropped the camera.
Oh,
Are we really?
we're getting excited, man. We can't stand still.
I know, it's great. I don't think anybody's ever dropped a camera during an interview ever, and now it's twice in one day. I love it.
Yeah.
I must be getting better.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, totally.
I think I can finally do my job. I don't know. You guys definitely got to play Rockville, man.
Oh yeah,
we definitely do.
So
Again,
when you
we're
do
open.
play, okay, just so you know, you get to drive on the speedway.
That is true.
It's fucking badass. Like,
and it's cool because you have to go like a certain speed because the
corners.
No, it's just so.
Yeah, it's the grade on the corners.
It's straight up and down. If
Yeah.
you go up on that wall, you have to hit 80, 85 miles per hour or you're falling off the wall.
And then even if you're like in the median, and of course being in a big bus and everything, you have to be consistent 45, 50 just to be able to actually like get traction in order to like be on that angle. It's very interesting.
I have a Jeep Moab, so it's a big monster Jeep, and it was kind of fun riding on there. And then I said to the person that runs Mia, who I'm really close with, because you know she's been doing it for years too, and I said, you know, I got my skateboard in my Jeep. Do you think I'll lose my credential if I go take it and go ride the speedway? And she's like, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, okay, I'll wait till the festival's over.
You can do anything you want once. Remember
time,
that.
baby.
One
Exactly.
time you can do anything you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would have probably broken something because that wall is straight up and down. Like literally, you can't even stand that on that wall without falling down. It's wild. So you guys have to play there. I mean, just it's a given because it's Florida.
Fingers
So I'm
crossed,
putting it
baby.
out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I'm like putting it in the universe. I'm also
Put it in the
telling,
universe, put out
she'll
all the
probably
info
listen
for
to
us.
this. I'm telling the publicist that she needs to get you on Rockville.
Hell yeah, man.
You know,
We will bring a show that people will always remember.
Oh yeah,
That's a guarantee.
for
Well-
better or for worse.
and Fozzy does a lot of the Danny Wimmer festival. So I'm surprised. Maybe he wasn't. I don't think he did any this year. I'm surprised that. See, if you were on tour, you might have done the festival. So you got to get back on tour with a band that plays these festivals, and then you'll get. Because that's how Danny Wimmer does it.
All those guys.
Yeah, that's how Danny Wimmer does it. Like he group books the bands that are on tour together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Or you could do what Silly Goose did. Do you know the band Silly Goose?
Oh yeah, they just started playing in the fucking parking lot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they played in the.
Ballsy move, man.
It was like old school, man, like an old school punk band. They played in the parking lot. I think it was Louder Than Life.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny Wimmer was in the crowd in the parking lot watching them and just sitting there watching them. The next day, they were playing a stage.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty
And they've
cool.
been playing multiple of them. And Danny Wimmer does that shit. You know,
Yeah.
so
Good deal.
He is very involved.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
And even the camping grounds, though, I noticed at those festivals, like they get just as wild. They have karaoke. They have like freaking food trucks and everything up until like 3, 4 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's almost like an experience after the experience. If you
Totally.
go to a Danny Wimmer show, you need like a day or two off after the festival to recoup.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they're even harder now. What? Say that again?
I said I needed a couple days after that year. I went to Louder Than Life, and I ended up seeing her. But I got so damn drunk just walking around that campground. It was alcohol poisoning, baby. It was a good time.
A couple years ago, when we had the, Metallica was doing the 2 nights like they're doing this year too, but they did multiple Danny Wimmers. So they had just came out with their Black and Whiskey, and Black and Whiskey invited me to come do my interviews in their tent so I could do testing, taste testing with the band.
You would have loved that.
What'd you think? Yeah, that's my thing.
Oh yeah. Well, like
I'm a bourbon fan from way back.
That made for great interviews. And listen, Bourbon and Beyond and Louder's like that anyway. Like because
actually that should be my thing. That should be where we play. Bourbon and Beyond. That'd be cool too.
Funniest interview ever, over 3,000 music interviews, funniest ever was, so there's this guy, Fred Minnick, that does interviews at Louder Than Life and Bourbon and Beyond, and he is like a bourbon whiskey, like #1 connoisseur and expert. And so when he does the interviews, he has you drink bourbons and discuss it.
Oh my God, that's like literally your thing.
I could do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just figured out Mike's dream job: plays guitar and then talks and drinks bourbon.
Right? Okay, so
gonna get fucked up on some bourbon. And
we're ready to do
guitars.
this. I can do this. Any kind of we can talk bourbon, drink the good stuff. I'm good.
Airborne did an interview with him before my interview. He was with them. My interview ended up late because they were in there for like a half an hour, 45 minutes. They were so drunk when they came out. This interview.
All your life.
Why are we not doing this now?
Yeah, that's your life. That's literally your life.
I know, right? One of the things they did during the interview, like they're Aussies, and they were doing impressions of, they were doing the broadcast of a Mets game. Like if you're listening on the radio, they're doing this in the interview, and it was the funniest shit ever. Like the whole interview, I didn't even speak mostly. I was just laughing most of the time.
See, everything's better when you add bourbon to it.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for a long time. Yeah.
When Mike grows up, he wants to play guitars and drink bourbon on interviews.
Yep.
Yes.
There you go. So there it is. So if you guys play Louder, no matter what, I'll figure a way for you to have bourbon at your interview with me.
That would be awesome. That would be great.
See? Well, there you go.
And this could be part of the thing. Me and Zach are originally from the same area in Kentucky.
Yep.
He's from like 20 minutes from my hometown.
Yeah.
Which is near Louisville. near louder than life.
Yeah.
You
Louder than
say,
life's my backyard,
hey, you
bro.
say it pretty well, okay? Because I'm a Yankee and I just cannot pronounce it right. I
You
can't
can't say
pronounce
Louisville?
it right. I even have a shirt that I got at one of the Louder Than Lifes that has every way that you can say Louisville on,
Mhm.
right? It's like, I think I can kind of do it now, like Louisville. I have a hard time with that
Louisville?
L there. There's no L
Louisville.
there.
Say it
Yeah.
like you just took a slug of bourbon and you still got some ice in your mouth.
Louisville.
Louisville?
Louisville.
Louisville?
Louisville.
Like,
Louisville.
I grew up Louisville.
Louisville.
Yeah.
Is it
Louisville.
Lowville?
No, it's an
Louisville.
L. There's an
Oh my
L in
God,
there,
pronounce
like
it.
lullaby.
It literally sounds like you have something in your mouth when you're saying
That's
that.
why I said
It's like lullaby. It's
Hmm.
like I hate to say it, but it is kind of like talking while you're performing fellatio. Okay.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. I like how you had to do it, didn't
I had to think for a minute.
Louisville.
Explanation was more
See, I
PG,
can
okay?
See, I can say it now. Watch. Louisville.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Zach
man.
just got excited.
There you go. So we're putting this out in the universe, so somebody in the Danny Wimmer camp hears it and knows we need to put this Clozure to bed and get them on a festival.
Put
Yes.
Clozure
What I'm talking
on
about
Louder
right
Than
there.
Life.
Yes.
There
needs
it
to
is.
happen. It needs
Please
to
You
and
guys,
thank you.
especially
you
with
guys
this
could probably
really,
play Bourbon and Beyond too. You probably
Oh,
would
yes, I
fit
wanna
in
do that
both
too.
of them.
That's
You'd
the goal.
fit in both of them. I used
I'll
to
tell
do bourbon every year, but now I have a conflict. I do Riot Fest every year,
Yeah.
and it's the same weekend. Bums me out because I like bourbon, but it's like Misfits, Sting. Okay, going to Riot Fest. Okay, this year's Slayer and somebody else that's good. That well, I guess I'll Blondie or something like that. I was like, huh. Well, I would have liked, but okay, I gotta see Slayer.
I've seen Slayer 3 times. I love them live.
I've seen Slayer over 1,000 times. I went to their
Shut
first.
up.
wow.
I went to their first show ever, and ever since I was addicted, I was going every single weekend. I went to Metallica's first show ever. I basically, so I'm originally born in New York, grew up in Jersey, and my dad moved me to California in 1980. What a time to move to California. I was 13 years old,
Yeah.
hanging out at the Rainbow, walking into the Rainbow with Motley Crue to go party with Lemmy and Ron Jeremy
Nice.
at 13 years old, because that was the 80s.
You missed the pizza
Sunset Strip.
discussion in New York.
Yeah.
What about pizza in New York?
We was talking about pizza in New York earlier.
Pizza's better in New York.
Yeah, and one of you said you weren't a fan of the pizza in New York, and I don't like you because of it, because there's nothing like New York pizza. It's like Chicago people. They're like,
That-
oh,
that's
Chicago
bad.
pizza is the best. I'm like,
No.
how many
Mike likes
places?
Chicago pizza better, and as an Albanian from New York, from the Bronx, like Albanians do one of two things: we either become like tenants or like landlords, or we own like a pizza shop. And
Or
so
you
my
murder,
dad
or
owned
you
pizza
murder
shops.
people,
What'd you say?
or you murder people. That's
We're
like,
normally the hitmen, but we don't get caught
Yeah.
for that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we can't say that out loud because we don't
Right.
get caught for it. So there's no proof that we're doing it.
That's okay. My grandfather was Italian mafia and owned a speakeasy.
Okay. So
you know.
probably one of my uncles was like bodyguarding for it. I'm not gonna lie.
Probably.
But no, it's true. Like New York pizza is like probably the best. When we moved to Florida,
It
we
is.
moved to Florida to
Oh,
make more
fuck
pizza.
Florida.
And what'd you say?
I'm like, fuck Florida pizza. Like, oh my God.
No, I could probably give you some good recommendations. I know a bunch of ironically, I know a bunch of pizza shops owned by Albanians, and I swear to
Oh,
God,
nice.
it'll be like 90% close to like New York. My brother has a water irrigation system in his pizza shop, and you can ask them. They had the pizza.
Now I
it's
know.
just like New York.
Now I believe you, because a true New York style pizza place outside of New York imports the water. That is the key to the pizza and the bagels is the water.
That and humidity. People do not know how to raise and proof dough. And in Florida, they do dry yeast, which my whole family we live by live yeast. And so that makes a big difference. I could get into a whole hour conversation about Italian food and pizzas and everything, because it's like literally my whole family.
Nice.
But yeah, no, there are some decent spots here and there that like I could promise you'll eat and you're gonna be like, oh my God. It'll be so good. It's not city New York pizza. It's like Brooklyn Bronx pizza, or when you go upstate to like Nyack in New York. And it's
well, they do have Brooklyn pizza down here, and it is like Brooklyn. There's a place right near me called Grimaldi's that is exactly like the pizza I had in Tuscany in Italy. Like it.
Oh wow,
really good.
I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, really good. But like, I love the Chicago people that they always say, and I always say to them, how come every state you go into, it has New York style pizza, not Chicago style pizza? You're not the best. You're not the best. We're the best. It's like you thinking, it's like Boston thinking they have the best baseball team.
Yeah.
No comment.
Basically,
I get jumped next time I go on tour through Boston if I say anything.
That's almost a political question there.
Right?
Yeah,
I know, right?
Sports are right in there with politics and religion. New rule today.
Just look at the rings, man. Look at the ring. Who's got more rings? You see New York everywhere, and you don't see Chicago anywhere.
That's
you want
right.
to like vote for the underdog, but like you know who's the real winner.
That you do vote for the underdog. That's why you're a Giants fan, because it took all those years, of a losing team. You have the only team in history that the quarterback loses a Super Bowl by fumbling on a drop to the knee. How do you fumble, drop into? But then you're still a loyal fan after that. That's a New York fan.
Yeah,
New York fans, they are loyal to you even if you suck.
Yep.
So. There it is. How about Alabama fans?
Oh God, don't even get me in with this like Roll Tide.
So
Alabama
this is where I make my exit. I actually do have to go track here in a minute. I think I'm due up at 6 o'clock, so I got about 15 to set my gear up.
Yeah.
I will say nothing about Alabama fans because Alabama's great to me. Y'all have a good time.
Yeah.
I love
he
it.
actually fit underneath. Oh, he's doing it.
He's doing it.
I can
Look at
that.
I will say that this is like a record-breaking interview, and especially because she came in, we were at the end until she came in.
Oh,
but
sorry.
No, it's all good. Like normally my interviews are 10 to 15 minutes, so if they're an hour and 15 minutes, it means it's a pretty good interview.
I felt a fellow New Yorker, and like it was a stress call, and I was like,
see that?
He's with too many freaking like Southerners. Let me go in.
Yes, totally. Like I was telling them in the beginning. Okay, so my daughter, she lives up in the Panhandle at Navarre Beach, and I'm like, that's not Florida. That's Southern Alabama.
It's true.
It is.
Florida's just a bunch of transplants. I mean, literally, my best friends from New York. Like I have so many friends from New York that all live in Florida.
Well, yeah. I mean, like at this point in my life, do I want to live in gray and freezing all the time? Like I'll go to the snow and I'll go to the cold, but I like leaving it too, and I hate the gray. The last couple times I was in Jersey, I never felt that way going home.
Well, it's like, went to Jersey.
Yeah, well, it is home to me, but it was misty, freezing rain, gray skies. I'm like, what the fuck do I want to live here for?
That's why we like to tour up north in the winter, up north in the summer, and
right,
then down south in the winter. That way it doesn't kill us both ways.
Yeah, but we didn't do that.
We made a horrible mistake with that.
We went through freaking Arizona and Texas and Mississippi through the summer.
Yes.
And then our bus air conditioning wasn't working, and then our bus broke down 3 times.
In Arizona, 120 degrees. It was great.
Well, that's
like that's proof. If we weren't family, we would have all quit at that very moment.
Right? No doubt. When you have that kind of heat going on, you want to kill people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're like a toxic family with like a massive trauma bond now.
We're all like crawling across the desert screaming, "We will do this. We will make it."
40 days. 40 days.
Yeah, it's what it felt like.
That's what it was. Yeah.
It literally felt that way.
I love it. Well, man, we got to get you on the festivals, and I have to see you guys in person,
Yes.
And we'll have to do this in person with some bourbon, and
even better now. If you just want to have us together and get together when we tour through there and just sit down and have a bourbon, that'd be great. I'm all
there.
About
you go. And then even like, okay, so when I go up to visit my daughter, we could hang out because, like, listen, it's right over the whatever.
Oh yeah,
I don't even know what it's right over. It's just right over.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's like right there. Although I am a New York Italian Jew, so I don't really belong in Alabama. It's kind of scary to me.
Well,
Yeah, I look like a sore thumb walking around, being the Albanian New Yorker
I
walking
know,
around.
right?
And platform boots and like fang Clozure tees, and they're like, "What the hell is this chick with the big hair doing here?"
we're kind of all over though, because we have our drummer right now. He's a Jew.
Yeah,
Very proud of it.
Nice.
Works currently in India. Comes
Yeah.
back while we tour and everything with it too. So we're all over.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, because normally in places like Alabama, Georgia, I get the what's a Jew? Like they're like, how come you don't have them horns coming out of your head?
No.
No, it's nothing
That's
like
a
that
Democrat or a liberal.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the ones that have the horns on their head if you're in Alabama.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe they took over from the Jews. Like it used to be a Jew. I remember I was driving cross country from Jersey to California, and I was like 19 years old or something like that. And on the road in Louisiana, you know, back in the day when we didn't have online dating or social media, you had car tag. and
I
you like
remember it.
drive down the road, hot chicks next to you, and you're like doing this. And then sometimes you meet up, like pull off in the service area or rest area. And that's what we did. We
It's crazy
pulled off.
we do this.
What's car tag?
That's how you
It's like
picked
you
up
flirt
women.
while you're driving down the road with hot
Yep.
chicks in the car next to you. Then you pull off somewhere and you meet up.
Yep.
This is why she's my little sister, by the way. Right here. This is exactly why.
I was just complaining about how the men don't know how to text sometimes. So when they send in an address, they don't send it correctly, where it's just like a hyperlink that I can click. I have to look at it, type it out into the thing, and I'm like, oh God, this is like such like.
See, I hate when they send a hyperclick like that. Just give it to me
No,
so
that's
I
what
can
you
copy
do.
and paste it into Google.
I'm still trying to get one of them to buy a freaking iPhone.
One of them, not me. I have an iPhone.
Yeah, he's an iPhone.
It's-
He's good.
So yeah, what happens? So we pull in the service area, we talk. I end up spending the night at her house. Her parents were away, and she's like, "Yeah,
This would
thank
never
God."
happen.
We do
She's
some
like,
crazy stuff.
"Wait."
That's
She
what we
goes.
would call a murderer now.
She goes.
I've watched
Thank
way too
God.
many murder crime podcasts.
Yes.
In
Yeah, I could have
2024,
definitely
25, that's a
been.
murderer.
I could have definitely been part of that because, listen, I was in her house and she said straight out, "It's a good thing my family's not home because they would lose their shit if I was with a Yankee Jew, and they would
And
probably
this is
and they would
why.
probably shoot your ass."
This is why you guys had more serial killers in your time, because y'all literally just accepted people in your home. In our time, we just watch murder podcasts and we size everybody before we even get to know them and question if they're like a serial killer with.
Hey, I think about
We
I
didn't
used
have
to hit,
Tinder, okay?
That's so
and I think
weird.
about I hitchhiked everywhere. I would never hitchhike today. I saw somebody hitchhiking recently. I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah,
like-
no, that's
I
asking to get
wouldn't have done that
murdered.
before. Yeah, that's not my thing.
It's just
Never
a
has
different
been.
day and age now. It's
Yeah.
just everything's to lie.
Yeah, you can't do shit.
Yeah.
It's like I think of some of the things that like even we were talking earlier before you came on about backstage. Like I was backstage all the time on the Sunset Strip days in the 80s.
hmm
And I'm backstage all the time now. And people ask me, they're like, "Hey, can you bring me backstage?" I'm like, "You really don't want to go. It's fucking boring. There's nothing going on, you know?" And like back in but they're thinking it's like it was back in the day, which is absolutely true. Like I would go to a Metallica show, we would always all go over to their house and party all night long. And I'd pick up my friends in the
Not
bushes.
anymore.
No, that was several lawsuits ago.
Yeah,
It didn't happen
well,
anymore.
I was at the party when Vince left with Razzle.
Oh,
You know,
Oh, wow.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Talk
Going
about
on a
that kind
beer
of
run.
time to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, going on a beer run. Yeah, lots
that
of
didn't go
crazy
so well.
shit. You know what they
Yeah.
say is if you were at the Sunset Strip during the 80s and you remember it, you weren't there.
That was a cool time to be there, though. Definitely.
It was. But you know what's good about today? Musicians are being true musicians and they're more professional about it and better musicianship, better at their craft. You even take bands
Sure.
from back then. You take, I think we were talking about it earlier, Hetfield, okay? he hates the way he sang back then. I loved the way he sang back then, but he hates it because he knows he didn't know how to sing yet, and like, he said at the San Jose Sharks games, they play the old version of Seek and Destroy. He's like, well, they play the newer version because I know how to sing now. And it's interesting to see the different perspectives. Like, somebody who was a real douchebag during the 80s that I couldn't stand is the nicest, most humble guy now, and that's Bret Michaels.
Wow.
Yeah. I met him, was a great guy.
He was in the 80s, he was this egotistical.
We were just talking about him when I was.
Yeah, like 2 days ago, we were just talking about Poison. And
I was downrange, and he came down to see us down there. I was
nice.
Yeah.
So he was playing Hometown Rising in Louisville. When they had that there, they had they had Bourbon Beyond Louder, and then they did that one year. He was there, and after the end of the night, we were all backstage. I was with the production crew, and we're just hanging out. He comes back there, like, even to the guy sweeping the floor, he comes up to every single person, shakes their hand, and thanks them for what they're doing. And like, was the most down to earth, humble guy who he wasn't in the 80s. Oh, yeah. So kudos. I love that.
You got to learn, and I think we're really good about that is all the people that work these venues, the bartenders, the security and everybody else. We couldn't do this if it wasn't for those guys.
Yeah.
No doubt.
We couldn't do it if it wasn't for the fans. They all matter.
We're honestly just the final piece, but like what actually starts the whole process is literally the venues, the workers, the fans coming out. I mean, there's so many things that have to happen before we even get the chance to do what we love, and it's literally based on everybody else. So
totally. And that's the other thing too. Like, a lot of media people, like, they treat the security like shit, and like, dude, they're the ones that determine whether you even get back into media. So like, I kiss their ass because they're working their ass off. They're sitting out in the heat, They hardly ever brought food or drink or anything. It's a thankless job, and they're making your job easier. Like, treat them good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Those are the more people. The crew, roadies, security. Those are the people that should get the most thanks, because those are the thankless jobs that they work their ass off.
One day we want to have a roadie. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh hell yeah!
Just
driver
one
first.
See, you got to play for teenagers. You got to play for teenagers, because like back in the day, I roadied for like all these bands just because I wanted to party with them later.
Oh yeah,
and get the girls too. You're hanging out with Motley Crue.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
Well, if you're hanging out with Motley Crue back in the day, they had so much overflow that it was easy. Okay, like even their overflow was super hot. Yeah. Even their overflow was super hot. Okay, so it's like,
oh my god,
you just wait a little bit and like, okay, well, yeah, I'll take you.
And you wonder why the backstage is boring now.
Right, exactly. Meanwhile, like, I'll be backstage with some of my friends back there now backstage, and we're showing pictures of our grandkids on our iPhones to each other instead.
Fair enough.
Well, this has been a blast. I don't want to keep you all night, and probably 10 million people trying to reach me, but it was my last interview today, or else we couldn't have had this much fun.
Thanks so much for having us on. We really appreciate your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I can't wait to see you out there live, because there's nothing that replaces live. And there's a rule on my show, and that is any listener after an interview that doesn't go to your merch store and buy merch, they can't listen to my show. So I'm just reminding everybody to go to find Clozure everywhere with Z, not in your own life, but the band. Okay. Do the own life on your own time. Go to their sites, check out their tour dates, buy their merch, get their new music, check everything out, or don't come back.
Thank you.
Oh, anytime. You guys rock, and can't wait to see you guys again soon. And it will be funny because, like, if I get to interview you again in person, because right now I'm wearing my shades. So it's like, do I really remember with the 10 million faces that are in my brain? But then in person, it'll be like, oh, now I remember.
We'll fix that with bourbon too.
Yeah, exactly. See, bourbon fixes everything.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Spoken like a true Southerner. All right, you guys rock, and thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipe Man.
Thanks for having us.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipe Man on W4CY Radio.